Scooching over here. Hey everyone.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Cole.
Welcome to our home. Tonight we're going to do something a little different than we've done in the past. Sorry if I bumped the table. We're going to set up and talk about Onward, the movie, right?
Yep, it's part of the Disney Plus club that we're trying to do.
Right. Do you have all your notes with you?
Yeah, right here on the computer.
Okay. So, Rowdy, you're okay. You need to go outside? Let me let the dog out. Cole, you can start.
I'm going to just say hello, Camden. How are you doing? Thank you to whoever liked the video. Let's see what we got in here. So, we're just waiting on everyone to come in a little bit.
So let's get started. First off, did everybody get an opportunity to actually watch the movie?
Yeah.
That's a big question. I know Cole watched it multiple times. I watched it a couple times in which I fell asleep because, well, I'm old and work a lot and worked in the garden all weekend. And every time I'd sit down to watch it, it was a problem. I would just go to sleep.
Camden, I've watched it 3 times this week as well.
All right. Very good, Camden. That's great. And so hopefully we can get some good idea here and talk about it.
Hey, Dustin.
Dustin, nice for you to join us. Glad you're here.
We were just asking how many times we've watched the movie so far this week.
Now, did everybody get the questions that Cole's going to go over tonight with us? I think there's 11, right?
15.
I'm sorry, there's 15. And so hopefully, we can go through those.
Everyone's going to notice tonight that I'm a big movie buff. Like, I'm probably like movies a little bit more than I probably should.
Maybe so. So let's get started, Cole. What's people can join in as they get there, but we just wait around for them and it'll take forever.
Yeah.
So what's your first question?
The first question was, what was your favorite scene of the movie?
And so what was your favorite scene of the movie?
My favorite scene, now I'm just going to tell everyone who hasn't watched the movie, there's going to be spoilers. But my favorite scene was the checklist scene at the very end of the film where Ian's looking at the list and he's noticing that all the things he didn't get to do with his dad, he had been doing with his brother.
All right. Sorry about that. Your mom took the dog.
Okay.
Because he was acting crazy. And so it was a favorite scene, right?
Checklist scene at the very end of the movie.
That was yours.
What was yours?
What was, you guys comment what your favorite scene was also.
Yeah.
My favorite scene was maybe, I think I told you this earlier. My brain is drawing a blank now. After the dog acting crazy and having to get your mom to take him. What do you remember what I told you?
Did you say it was the scene with where Barnaby gives the privilege to see his dad?
Yeah, I think that was my favorite scene. Mainly, I really like that scene because what took place there, kind of seems like a sad moment, but and it is, but it's also this moment where he has this just major amount of growth in his own life. Mm-hmm. And so that's good.
Yeah. So the second, did anyone ever comment what their favorite scene was?
Yeah, Camden, answer them if you've got something to answer there. I mean, we're just kind of hoping you guys will be interactive.
Yeah.
And just kind of test the water here and see if you guys are interested in telling what you thought about the movie also along through the questions. And so Camden says, when Barley sends
Guinevere to hit the rocks, it's the van.
Right.
And then and they're trying to stop the cops and the new guy, and he thought it was funny. Yeah, I thought that was a really good scene too. That was especially when you take into context the idea that was the only thing that Barley wanted to show his dad.
Was Guinevere, yeah.
Guinevere.
I mean, it's funny, but it's also like this moment where you see just how much Barley cares for his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a major important scene to me.
I will say, Camden, the music did make me laugh as well. That was like the funniest part, like music wise, part of the movie. So.
All right.
It has to be, what did you think was the worst scene? Because in this movie, I really didn't find any of them to be like, none of the scenes were bad to me, but there were scenes that I liked less than others. Right. And for me, I feel like the scene where he's talking to his dad on the tape recorder, it just wasn't the strongest scene, but I still liked the scene a little bit.
Right.
What about you, Dan?
So for me, the scene I liked the least, I don't guess I really liked the idea that I remember what my favorite scene was. You were thinking of your mother's.
Oh.
My favorite scene, I'm going to go back because I don't want to miss this. My favorite scene was when Barley shows up at the school and his brother's all embarrassed. I keep forgetting his brother's name.
Barley.
No, Barley is who shows up. Ian. So Ian's all embarrassed in front of these people. He's just invited to his house to this birthday party. And you can tell they're like, oh, wow, yeah, we may go. And he's like, he's got that ink on his face. He's like, never mind. They have forgotten.
The party's canceled.
The party's canceled is a big mistake. Like his birthday was a mistake. And then it really didn't happen. I thought that was a funny scene.
That was a funny scene. Camden said his least favorite scene was when the dad disappeared. It made him sad.
Yeah, I could understand that.
I
could understand that.
I can understand that too.
You know what? Man, there's another good scene when the dad is out there dancing with them.
That's a good scene.
That's a good scene.
That
when
is
they're
really
all dancing
good
with
scene.
their dad.
Because it's like this, like really, it's supposed to be this really tight situation. Like they're all tense. And then you have that like weird, like old 80s music in the background. And then the dad's dancing and it lightens up the mood. Right. That's a really good scene.
Because it had just been a really bad scene.
Yeah.
And that really bad scene was
not bad. Like,
oh, it was a really bad scene. I mean, like a downer.
Yeah.
Because he just basically
said his brother was a failure.
And that was a tough scene because,
yeah,
you know,
it was a really good lighthearted
all right,
scene.
My least favorite scene.
Yes. Don't forget what
is almost anything that the new stepdad or stepmother's boyfriend, it never really gives away that he's the dad. Like they got married or anything, but whatever he is, whether he's there dating or whatever, almost anything he's in was kind of like, to me. I mean, I wasn't a fan of his character too much. Well, I mean, I get what they were trying to do, but I felt like it fell short of where they were trying to go.
Yeah. Lance said the hardest thing. Hey, Lance. First of all,
Lance.
Secondly, he said the hardest thing for me was his memory. The fourth memory, I felt his pain. I went through the same thing. With my mom.
Yeah, that's a tough scene.
It is. I mean, honestly, that was my second favorite scene. Like when I think of Onward, the two scenes that pop in my head are the checklist scene and then the scene where he either talks to his dad or they talk about the dad on the Cheeto, which is
you're talking about when he's doing the recording?
No, whenever he's.
I like that scene a lot too.
I think that's the least. That's like the one. Like if they were going to get rid of him, that would be the one I would want them to want to go first. But I still like the scene. But you know. Anyways, third question.
Lance, I got your favorite drink right here. Not a sponsor, but it's Topo Chico mineral water, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I know how much you like those.
All right, third question. What was your favorite quote of the movie?
Favorite quote of the movie.
Now, I chose a serious quote. If I was going to choose a jokey quote, it was whenever they're in the Manticore's tavern and she's like realizes she's been living all safe, kind of, and she's like, my whole life's a lie.
Don't shake the table.
This place used to be dangerous, and then the guy behind him in the costume was like, dangerous and wild and wild. It was just funny.
I thought you were going to use the one your sister was talking about, which was
that was a good one too.
When she's given the name at the pawn shop, right?
No, it wasn't the pawn shop. It was after the building burned down.
Oh, and she's like, last name Manticore, first name The.
Yeah, that was a good quote.
That's funny. Yeah.
You know, I'm just gonna stick with those as my favorite quotes.
My favorite quote of the movie. You ready? Because this is so childlike to me.
That was a good little, like,
whenever he uses his hands to let his dad know who he is, he taps on his shoes. I thought that was a good line. And it's not really a speech line, but you can tell it's like speech without being speech.
It's a good way to remind his dad who's who, because if you had it to where you were just like, here, I'm Barley, and this is Ian, and all he could do was feel him with his toes.
But actually, they switch places over and over. Like, and when Ian's in the back of the van, he does it to his dad's shoe too.
Yeah, but that's kind of like a reminder that we're your family.
Right.
So.
All right. So
let's read some
Lance
comments.
says, I like it. I like how it reflected on what it used to be like in the 50s and 60s before social media. So it was kind of like reflecting on what life used to be like in the simplicity of it.
Yeah,
I agree.
I would like to note, I just want to shed some light on something. It literally, I liked how the theme, like not the theme, what would you call it? Like the ambience of the film is kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, and like the whole era of that. Like
yeah,
in the 80s, it had 80s music.
Yeah,
with the guitar.
Barley's idea is very much,
He has like not.
And then Ian's kind of like a 90s kid.
He really is.
Actually, kind of 2000s ish.
90s to 2000s ish.
All right, Emily says, the pet dragon reminds me of her wiener dog. Yeah. Emily, I could see that totally. I could see that with almost any playful little dog, very much. And Camden says, my favorite quote was, I hope there's a little magic left in you.
Oh, yeah, that was a good quote. That's almost like a Walt Disney.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's kind of like a little thing to Walt. I also thought it was kind of a Walt style move by Disney on this movie, because what they did was, I was trying to think of how I wanted to word that. Walt Disney had a knack for taking, and the whole Carousel of Progress has and not just that, but other areas have a knack for taking what is thought to be the idiot and showing how they just thought outside the box and, did something with it. In the Carousel of Progress, it's the one who's living with them,
Uncle
Orville, who invents the air conditioner.
Yeah.
And then
where they're like on the still with the Carousel of Progress, but where he's like, oh, someone's trying to fly over the whole Atlantic. It'll never work. Like, right. He's an idiot.
And then Barley is kind of that figure, but then everything Barley says in the movie is spot on.
Yeah.
To what needs to happen. And so to me, it's kind of like a Walt play there by Disney in this movie. So what's your next question, Cole?
All right, next question. Now, a few of you guys had joined in just now, but I was just going to say, feel free to comment what you would answer on these answers. Fourth question was,
just wait a few minuets.
Yeah, okay. I misspelled something in the last video when I was editing it. Anyways, fourth question. How did this movie make you feel?
Shameless plug while he's thinking of his answer. If you haven't watched the Dole Whip video, go over there. Cole did make a misspelling on 15 minutes later, but
nobody else
the video is amazing as far as the recipe. Let me tell you, if you haven't had it,
tastes just
it's
like
delicious. Go make a Dole Whip. You'll enjoy it and have a good time doing it.
Lance said Chris Pratt did a fantastic job. I'll say that. I forgot Chris Pratt played Barley.
I'm going to level with you. I don't like Chris Pratt as an actor most of the time. Most of the time, he's really rough and edgy, and I just don't like movies like that. But he did a good job as Barley. He really did.
Like you wouldn't have, I wouldn't have known if I hadn't have looked at the actors and the cast.
The movie made me feel sad, and it made me laugh at certain times.
Lance said he's making Dole Whips tonight.
There you go.
Good.
All right. So,
all right. How did I feel? The only word I can use to sum up how I felt is warm-hearted, I guess. I didn't just feel like happy necessarily. Like whenever you end at like, I'm trying to describe a good term. At the end of maybe the Lego movie, I don't know. That's just the first one that popped in my head. You feel happy. You don't just feel like you just feel happy that at the end of the movie, but you don't feel sad like at the end of something like Up, because it has a very somber end to it as it's zooming out.
Yeah, I felt like it delivers a little bit of hope.
That's a good word for it.
So to me, it's hopeful.
I guess Up's more hopeful.
And so,
you know, it's not sad. Hope the ending of Up's not sad, but.
Well, sure, it is. It is, but it isn't. It's the same similar ending. I mean, very close. I mean, although in this one, you know, you have Ian who doesn't really get to achieve what he originally set out to do. He realized he had so much more than what he thought he had. And it was this growth experience over this 24-hour period where Ian's a whole new person and Barley's a whole new person. And they've realized that they don't need their dad anymore. You know, they can go on without him. And that life wasn't as terrible as maybe they thought it was. And that they had each other and this moment of hope. So I felt like that was there. Emily said what? Probably to my Chris Pratt comment.
Yeah. She said, you don't like Chris Pratt. She wrote it right up here.
Now, I'm not a fan of Chris Pratt. Even in Jurassic World, I was just like, he did a decent job, but it was just like, I'm just not a big fan.
I get where you're coming from.
I don't have to be.
I'm not a big fan of his more gruff movies, but like in the Lego movie, he plays Emmett. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know that either until I saw somebody make a joke about it, but it's true. He played Emmett off of the Lego movie, and I think his more child-friendly content, he acts more goofy in it, so I think he's just a better actor.
I don't think he's a bad actor. I just think a lot of times he plays characters that are really kind of edgy, and, you know, I'm a little more family kind of guy.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Everybody has their own opinion. Anthony cried
during the movie. Lance said, the movie made me feel like calling my brother and talking to him more, since I was a younger brother, than a lot of that stuff that happened in the movie did hit home.
Yeah.
Ken said, did you like him in Guardians of the Galaxy?
For the most part.
We saw Volume 2.
Yeah. Is that what we saw?
Yeah, we saw Volume 2 of it. I mean, he was decent. I still think he's had better roles, even as an actor. Like, I think he did a better role in this movie, acting-wise. But maybe that's just me.
I just think he gets a little edgy with stuff when he doesn't have to. That's just me. I'm a family-friendly kind of guy.
Yeah, Michelle.
It might be because I'm a pastor. I mean, it might be part of it.
Michelle said, well, she said up there, I'm sorry I'm late, but she also said down here, I fell in love with Chris Pratt from watching Parks and Rec. Not Disney related, though.
Right.
Well. And then she said, I guess I'm a girl. Chris Pratt is nice to look at.
That's funny. That's funny. And that's probably true. I mean.
Yeah.
So where were we at? Because I didn't tell mine. What was the question again?
Right. Well, how did you feel at the end of the movie?
Oh, I did tell mine. I said hopeful.
Okay.
All right.
And then Kim said, oh, I didn't know you were a pastor.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Who was your favorite character in the movie?
My favorite character in the movie.
I'm going to give mine. It came down to a tie between Ian and Barley. But because me and Ian are the same age and we're kind of going through, or he's supposed to be going through the same stuff I'm going through right now, I feel a better connection to Ian. So Ian's probably my favorite character.
Even though I'm not a Chris Pratt fan, it's Barley.
It was close to Barley. I was literally on the edge. He's just so much like me too. But, you know.
Yeah, Barley by far for me. I really enjoyed his character. The goofballness kind of reminded me of Lance. No, it did a little.
It does a little bit.
But it's it's just that fun-loving kind of person that you enjoy being around, who's not afraid to be themselves. That's kind of the Barley mentality. And a lot of people are too guarded and closed off to be themselves.
Yeah.
And so I think that makes his character more appealing. And Ian, on the other hand, you see him kind of grow out of that.
Yeah.
And,
that's kind of,
it makes sense why it's important to you, because you're growing up and at the same age. But for me, I look back and I'm like, oh, fun-loving Ian, or not Ian, Barley.
Yeah. I was just going to read some of the comments. Camden said my favorite character was the Manticore.
No, nice. That was...
At first, I didn't just love her character, but after watching it 2 or 3 times, she started to grow on me. So, Dustin said my favorite character is Ian. Camden said it is not was. Dustin said Emily's favorite character is the mom.
Nice.
Yeah. And then Lance said, that's funny right there. I think he's talking about your comment about him being like Barley.
Hey, it's true, man. I mean, I even love your unicorn van, bro.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. Sorry to cough into the mic, but I'm just thinking. Lance is more of a Jeep person, but I could just see him having a unicorn painted on the side of his Jeep. It's just so funny.
You got to get it, man. You got to make one with your vinyl cutting machine.
Gosh, that would be hilarious. I like the Colt Bronco. That's the dad.
That's the dad, yeah.
What was I going to say? What was the next one? Oh, who was the funniest character?
I'll tell you who my favorite non-important character was. In other words, no major lead. My favorite character there would have been, and this may sound funny, but the pawn shop worker.
I can
that
see
was
that
great
because she was like, she was played by some important actor. I forgot who she was. You guys let me know in the comment section.
Yeah, if you know who played that as an actress, y'all let us know. But
she was like
that was my favorite non-major role actor or personality in the movie.
I liked Ian's dad, like Ian's dad's friend who knew him.
He said it's a Nautilus, not a unicorn. I know it's the Nautilus. I said you need to get a unicorn and put on the side of it. All right. I like her too. Oh yeah,
right.
Very good.
Who was your favorite character? I mean, who was the funniest character to you?
Funniest character
Barley.
in the movie.
Barley for me. I don't know. It's just if it was just a scene where he's at the school and he's embarrassing Ian, that alone makes it the funniest scene or one of the funniest scenes.
I think Barley was pretty funny, but then on the same sense, I think his mom was pretty funny for the mom. I mean, she had some funny lines, and I felt like she had a lot of good personality.
Yeah.
That you look back and you say, when I was a kid and I left my toys all over the floor and my mom stepped on them, instead of telling me if you don't pick those up, I'm going to throw them in the trash, I wish she'd have said, get your people off my land or we're going to go to war.
That was good.
I mean, that was funny and comical.
Or
I just kind of think that'd be funny if my mom would have said that.
Yeah, or whenever Ian's knitting and she's like, oh, who taught you how to knit? She must have been a professional knitter. Or
pawn shop worker was Tracy Ullman.
Yeah.
And then Wilmer was the voice of the... Well, y'all got 2 different people, so I don't know which one it is.
I don't either.
But, well, whatever. It's one of them, maybe. What's the next question?
I was just going to say real quick. Lance Marcus said, Mom reminded me of Tammy. I almost.
That's true.
I
That
almo-
is really true. Unless Tammy's upset about the Legos or whatever's in the floor. And then
she's.
it's no pick your stuff up or we're going to go to war over this or whatever. It's, these things are fixing to go in the trash. But typically, yeah, she's a big jokester too.
Yeah. The funniest character. Did you ever say who the funniest character was to you?
I told it was a toss up between Barley and the mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right.
Barley just has more funny moments because he's more of a lead.
Yeah.
But the mom's funny when she's in the
Yeah,
shots.
4 likes. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Dustin said the funniest character was the pet dragon.
Yeah. I mean, that was funny.
Yeah.
You know what I thought was pretty like non-important but showed up everywhere was all the unicorns on all the advertisements, but then they were just barely in the movie.
There was 2
you had them when they came out of the cave.
Oh,
and then on the street corner.
But yeah, you're right.
I mean, that was about it.
I mean, there were more scenes of the unicorns in the trailers,
right?
Than
That's
the
what
whole
I'm saying.
movie. Michelle said Wilmer was on that '70s show, right?
Oh, okay.
By the way, I was just gonna say this. You guys asked me last night if the lady who plays the mom was the girl off of Seinfeld. She is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I looked it up.
Yeah. Julia Dreyfus, is that it?
Something like that. Ken said, okay, I looked up and that is what I saw, so I just thought it was him.
Okay.
All right.
All right, next question.
Next question was, who did you most relate with? Like I said earlier, Ian for me.
Who did I most relate with?
Bronco? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Gosh.
Let me think here. Who did I most relate with? Some days I feel like it's the Manticore. Other days I feel like I probably most relate with, in some aspects of life, I can relate to Ian. And in some aspects of life, I relate to Barley. I think that was the good of the show was being able to relate to so many different people.
Yeah,
for me. And so
I will say that they did excellent on characterization in this movie.
I thought they did real well.
Michelle said, Ian, me too. I am shy and quiet, and I have a hard time speaking my mind. Doesn't sound. Also, Barley, because I'm a huge nerd. Oh, he said up there, I most relate to Ian because I'm all by myself.
Right.
Ken said, I most relate with Barley because I would have taken the path of peril and wanted to go on an adventure. Yeah. I almost chose Barley because I'm a big nerd too, and I'm into fantasy. If you can't tell, I take films way too seriously. So, and I'm a big history buff as well. So, we have 6 likes, by the way. Thank you guys.
Thank y'all very much. All right. So, what's your next question?
All right. Did you? Oh yeah, you did. Okay. Does anybody you know, let me get this out. Does anybody that you know remind you of anyone? Like in the movie? The only person I could come up with really was the mom and my mom.
I said Lance and Barley.
That's a good one. I didn't even think of Lance and Barley because that's a really good connection. But yeah, those are the main 2 I can think of. Do you guys have anyone?
Oh, Cole and Ian.
Yeah. Emily reminds me of the dad when he is just the pants.
Oh.
Lance said, y'all funny. All right. We're trying.
All right. So what's your next question?
All right. Next question. Who was your least favorite character?
I thought we asked this one earlier.
All right. Camden, real quick. Barley reminded me of my friend Total Banana and Silverwater because they like fantasy and they've been in Steam a couple times. I think. No, they've been in the stream a couple of times, I think.
Gotcha.
All right. Lance said, the other female police officer, smaller one, reminds me of Allie. Are you saying that because she's small? Or
Interesting.
No, I do think...
I'll have to watch closer next time and see if I see Allie in the...
I can see what you're saying a little bit. I can see what you're saying, Lance.
So least favorite. Now, Michelle, you're not gonna like me because my least favorite was your favorite.
It's. I don't think Colt Bronco is a bad character, but I think he's my least favorite character.
I guess I just didn't like the way they portrayed him all the way. I mean, I
can agree with that. I
think it could have been portrayed in a better light.
I kind of wish they
made him look like a big doofus. And
in a way, I guess I wouldn't say necessarily a doofus. I do think that they could have fleshed out his character a little bit more.
Well, I just feel like they made him look like less than what he was in the very end. And he really didn't change that much along through the movie.
Yeah.
But they made him look worse. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Camden said his least favorite character was Colt Bronco as well. Or the stepdad. Working hard or hardly working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like something I would say, Camden.
It does seem like something you'd say, but I've literally never heard you say that. He was funny, plus he's trying to step in as a father figure.
Yeah.
But how step-parents are not, they just aren't seen as good, very good.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's what Michelle said.
Yeah, it's true.
Like I said, I don't dislike him. He was just my least favorite out of the cast. All right. Who you said? Yeah, you said him as well. Okay. How about the next question? All right. If you were going to change anything about the film, what would you have changed?
Well, I would have changed his character. I just said that. I would have changed it up a little bit.
If I were to change something, I probably would have made it to where the Manticore, I would have maybe added a few more scenes with the Manticore and the mom, because there's really only like 3 major scenes where she goes and gets the Manticore, where they buy the sword, and then where they're driving and they decide to fly because they crash. And I just wish there was a few more scenes because I really thought that could have been a lot funnier.
Right.
So that's just me, though.
I probably would have changed up how much time they spent in that cave. I felt like that droned on.
Because it's kind of a boring setting. It's a boring setting. If it was a better setting, I bet you were right. I would agree with you.
Maybe some more things happening in the cave, something like that.
Yeah. Michelle said, I liked his typical police officer mustache.
Oh, yeah.
Kim said, I would have had Ian and Barley both see their dad and get to talk to him and his whole body. Yeah. And then Michelle said, yeah, I didn't have enough screen time and they were hilarious together. I think she's talking about the mother and the...
Yeah, I agree. All right. So what's your next question?
Next question. What inspired... sorry. I almost read off my answer. If you were to ask the creator and director of the film any question, what would you have asked them? Because they're the same person, the creator and the director. And personally, I would have asked what gave him the inspiration of the Manticore. What inspired him to come up with the Manticore? Because if you guys didn't know this, I learned this while I was researching for this. But Barley was inspired by the director's actual brother, and the dad was actually kind of inspired by the director's actual dad. His dad had died while he was young too. He had actually died, I think, before he had seen his dad. And even the tape recording scene that actually happened. His dad, they had found him. Yeah, sorry, but they had actually found a tape recorder of his dad.
Mm-hmm. Like the director?
Yeah, the director's dad. He hadn't, because you don't really get to see that. Like, you kind of forget because of the.
Here's what I would ask.
Yeah.
Where did he get the idea for Guinevere? Because I hear Disney was sued for it, that somebody claimed that they stole the idea from them and the van and all that. So I would just ask that. I'd want to know if that was true or not. That'd probably be what I'd ask. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
People claim all sorts of things because they think they're going to get money. But
Camden Stout said, I would have asked the inspiration of Onward the whole movie.
yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I think there are a few articles where he talks about that. He even has an interview, I believe. So if you want to, there's a few interviews online, I think, about that right before the movie premiered. So
What's your next question?
Next question. What do you guys think the theme of the movie was? Like, what do you guys think the major theme of the movie was? I think the theme of the movie, and I have it written down, I think the theme of the movie was be content with what you have and live in the moment and not in the past. Kind of like, it kind of ties in with the end of the movie, with the checklist scene where he's like, the whole movie he's been wanting to see his dad, but at the very end he realizes, well, I don't need to be living in the past, but Michelle said finding yourself. And Dustin Time said, I love it. That's a good one, Michelle, finding yourself. Camden said, I think the theme was good family isn't always perfect. Yeah, that's a pretty big theme in the movie. Wouldn't you say, Dad?
I do. I think that's a big scene in the movie. I'm sorry. I'm taking something down that somebody wrote on one of our other videos.
Lance said the importance of siblings. Yeah. Honestly, there's only two films I've really seen where they really go into the idea of the importance of siblings, and that's this movie and maybe Frozen. And then Michelle said it-oh and then uh-oh.
It was spam, but it was just vulgar, so we took it off. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was confused on what I was like. I see you're trying to delete some comments, but
yeah, it was some spam.
Camden said, "Yeah, I never had a sibling, so it is kind of hard for me to relate."
Well, there's bonuses to siblings, and then there's downfalls to siblings.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it would be hard to relate without one. But think about maybe kind of like a best friend situation.
Yeah,
but
it's just like a best friend that never leaves your house.
Yeah, and you fight with a lot, right?
Yes.
I mean, you and Allison never argue and fight, right?
Never.
And me and my brothers growing up, we never fought either. I mean, we were perfect children.
Dustin said, "Yeah, I'm an only child," and then Michelle said, "Oh, good." Are you saying "oh, good" to not having siblings, or?
I think she's saying "oh, good" that it was just spam.
Yeah.
And that we took it down. All right. So, what's your next question?
All right. Next question. Did you guys learn anything from the film?
I did. It really wasn't so much as I learned as it just reminded me.
I wrote that thinking, oh, a lot of films are going to teach you something. Well, if you're just reminded about something, maybe you forgot. That's also kind of what I mean by that. Oh, Camden's asking, what do you mean spam? There were some people writing some vulgar stuff spam-wise on the channel.
Sometimes that happens on channels. You get like spam stuff, and it just says things that are vulgar, and you just take it down.
Yeah,
along. I just didn't want anyone to see it, so I wanted to take it down. Then I get notifications to that stuff.
Allie said, I learned about brotherly love.
There you go. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
What did you learn about Cole?
Or I learned / reminded kind of the idea that sometimes what you want and what you feel like you want is less important than to you than other people's wants that they want. Kind of like with how Ian gave up to seeing his dad, letting his brother see him instead. Camden said, I learned you just need a role model. Yeah.
Here's what I would be saying I was reminded of, that even when things go bad in life and things fall apart, you always have to take life where it's at and keep moving forward. Not to steal a line from Meet the Robinsons.
Keep moving forward.
But the truth in that is, even though Ian had thought he was never going to meet his dad, and he essentially didn't, even though all the things fell apart for him, even though Barley only had a handful of memories and, had grown up without a dad, they were missing out on all the life around them when they could have been seeing what they actually had rather than worried about what they'd lost. And I think in life, that's what happens sometimes, is we get concerned with what we've lost that we don't have anymore, and we let that become something that destroys the very thing that we have now. And so hopefully, that's a truth that all of us can see in that movie, is that even though we may have bad days and bad segments of time in our lives, we can look around and say, look at all that I do have. The pastor in me wants to say, look at all that God has given me within my life. And I should be thankful and enjoy what God has given me to enjoy, rather than worry about what, may not be there anymore.
I've noticed.
And that takes time, and it's healing. And you see that happen in the movie. And I feel like that's what makes it a hopeful movie.
Yeah. I've noticed everyone has a different reaction to the film based on some of their events that have occurred to them. Like, both of us, we didn't really think of it as brotherly love, but Lance, he really had a strong connection with the brotherly love.
Yeah.
And you had a really strong connection with not letting the past define you.
Yeah.
And for me, it was kind of just growing up a little bit. So I just thought that was kind of interesting.
So Camden, I agree. God has a plan for us all. That's exactly
Michelle
right.
said exactly, Chris. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's your next question?
Also, we have 8 likes. Thank you, guys.
Thank
all right. So on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you guys rate the film?
So I would rate it somewhere around 7.5 to an 8. A solid 7.5, maybe as high as an 8. And I think there were things that could have been improved upon, and there are other movies and films that I like better. But I would say a 7.5 to an 8 is where I'm at.
Camden wrote 9. Lance said 8. Michelle said 8. Emily said 8. Dustin said 6. For me, I'm going to blow everyone else's answer out of the water, but I gave it a 10. This is if I can watch this film 4 times completely and not get tired of it almost any of the times and still enjoy it afterwards, I think that deserves a 10. But that's just me.
I'm not there with Cole. I don't give it a 10, but hey, I think it was a good movie.
Film. Yeah. It is a good movie. All right. So,
last question.
Last thing, would you recommend this to a friend? Would you recommend this movie to a friend?
All right. Now, y'all don't sign off. We have some questions for y'all before you go for next week. So, Would you recommend this to a friend? I would say most likely.
I would say yes.
There are certain circumstances where maybe someone who's just recently went through a loss.
Yes.
I would probably tell them to hold off for a little while.
If that happened, I wouldn't do that. But for a general moviegoer who hasn't experienced anything traumatic like that, I would say yeah.
All right. So the next question isn't part of the questions for the night. Here's the thing. If we're going to have this again next week,
We want to have this again on Monday.
What would you guys want to watch between now and then to discuss next week with the same 15 questions? And hopefully next week, Cole and I are a little more ironed out and comfortable behind doing the movie thing.
Yeah.
What's a movie you all would find that you would want to watch and discuss next week?
Michelle said it was hard for Lance to watch, but it was good for him to watch too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had 9 likes. That's a lot. Thank you, guys.
Allie would like Frozen 2.
The new Dumbo, a goofy.
The new Dumbo.
Dustin, I like
movie.
your idea. A goofy movie. Ken said Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Okay.
Okay.
Never even heard of that. Have you?
Dustin, I've never heard of either of those movies. No, but I'm into.
You've never heard of which one? The last one?
No, either one of them, Darby O'Gill or the Little People.
What about Newsies?
I've heard of Newsies, and I'm interested in watching Newsies.
Hey, you're hitting
Sorry.
the table, bud.
My leg keeps hitting the table. I'm too big for this.
All right.
I've heard of the Newsies. I've heard it's a good film. I don't know. We'll all vote at the very end. This is not just our decision. This is a big club.
All right. So, let's see.
Emperor's
Allison-
New Groove. That's a good one. It is so good. Or Swiss Family Robinson. Now, we've watched that. That's a good film. Or Hunchback of Notre Dame.
So the question is, which one will it be?
Oh, before we vote on it, a friend of ours suggested that we watch Snow White, so that we watch the latest film that Disney put out, and then the very first
right.
one.
So that was a suggestion by someone that I work with.
Yeah.
Who watches us sometimes.
Michelle said Sleeping Beauty. Dustin Time said Emily loves High School Musical. Allie and Rowdy said most of the ones that have mentioned I don't know.
Hey, that's good, Allie. That means you get to experience new ones.
Yeah. Lance said, how about we watch 2 movies, The Lion King animated and The Lion King live action, and compare both of them the following week.
Now, see, I was thinking very similar. I was thinking, why don't we watch Frozen 1 and Frozen 2 and compare the two and talk about which one was better?
Yeah. I don't know. It would just all depend on what we all vote on at the end.
How are you going to handle the voting? Because you've got a lot of recommendations here.
Yeah, I was just going to have us all. I don't know. I was just. You caught me off guard on that.
All right. So it seems like we've had a few that are doubled up. So out of everything recommended, let's say write which one that you think you would want to see right quick, and we'll take the next 8 comments or so, and then we'll vote on those and narrow it down.
I want to make sure it's on Disney.
Yeah, make sure it's on Disney.
Yeah, it's got to be on Disney Plus for it to work. So
yeah, like no Song of the South or anything like that.
So we can draw from a bowl, Allie said.
I don't know, or we could just do a randomizer.
We could, but how are you going to do that?
Well, we just count them up, and then we'd see.
Okay, let's see.
Line them up here,
Huh?
and then you can randomize
All right.
it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
So Tammy's going to write some of these up for us. And
Actually,
then
a lot of people are saying 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Lance, Michelle, Camden said 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
You want to go with majority rules?
hey, I think that's
Yeah.
fine. Let's do 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I've been interested.
That makes it easier, and everybody's kind of in agreement there. So
Lance said I'm partial to it because it's my Jeep. Because of my Jeep, I mean.
you talking about the unicorn?
Yeah, maybe next week we can watch some of the other shows. Hercules, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, maybe next week what we'll do is take some of these other suggestions and we'll start putting them back, and we'll write them up after the video, and then we'll draw them out.
Yeah. All right. So this week we'll watch 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
All right. So there was, because there was like four or
Four
five,
comments.
something like that. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea for next week. And we'll try and discuss it again. And so we appreciate y'all joining in and watching. And especially for
All the likes.
enduring all the missteps along the way for us on tonight's live stream. We're just not used to doing the movie review on live. And so we appreciate y'all being patient with us.
Yeah, I was also going to say thank you for all the likes.
Yeah, very much. Thank you for the likes.
11 of them.
And we hope y'all enjoyed and hope to be able to discuss 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea with you next week. And until next time,
From our house to yours.